tonight, as we know, is JD Vance's night. He's going to introduce himself to the country. And the question is, you know, most Americans, if you ask them, who is JD Vance, they'd look at you with a blank stare. They wouldn't know. That will all change in this arena tonight. So, take a look at this. How does a first-term 39-year-old senator from Ohio that most people don't know become Donald Trump's vice presidential running mate? Like-minded sensibilities about the big issues facing the country.
I think Trump picked him because he sees someone who shares his values and his vision, and he feels like I can pour myself into him. He's a young man. He's sharp. He's malleable in some respects politically, and you know, his job, as every vice president's job, is to do whatever the president wants to do. And I think he feels like this is a guy he can hand over the movement to after he's out of office.
JD Vance gained notoriety after penning his 2016 New York Times best-selling book, Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir of growing up in poverty in rural Kentucky and Ohio. Vance was a Marine in Iraq, graduated from Ohio State University, went to Yale Law School, and eventually worked in big tech in San Francisco. He returned to Ohio and in 2022, in his first run for office, got Trump's endorsement and defeated Democrat Tim Ryan for U.S. Senate. He had once been a fierce Trump critic, in 2016 calling Trump an idiot and reprehensible, likening him to an opioid. But his views shifted after meeting Trump and watching what he believed were policy successes that helped working-class Americans. He says he realized his doubts about Trump were about style over substance. Vance supports trade tariffs, opposes continued aid to Ukraine, and says Republicans have to come to terms that most people don't want blanket bans on abortion. Trump's decision to tap Vance as VP has gone over well with Republicans in Milwaukee.
He's to bring that energy and vitality, again, to juxtapose against President Biden.
He's young, and he's kind of Trump-like, and I see him being president, carrying on for at least 8 years. Absolutely.
That would be domination.
Well, that's after Trump.
Tonight, JD Vance will introduce himself to the nation for the first time at the first Republican convention he's ever attended, this time as Donald Trump's pick for vice president. You talk about a meteoric rise up the political ladder. JD Vance was just elected a little more than a year ago. He's in his first term as senator out of Ohio. He's only 39 years old. If he ends up making it with Donald Trump and winning this thing, he would become the youngest vice president since Richard Nixon. This is an unbelievable rise, very quick. The first person you saw in that story was former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum. He knows a little bit about politics, and he says the more he knows about Vance, and he was not necessarily a fan. He said the more he's feeling comfortable with it, but he thinks that Vance is the guy that Trump picked because Trump thinks he can carry on the MAGA torch when Trump is gone. And that will happen one way or the other in 4 years.
Yeah, John, we've been hearing a lot about that. In fact, people referring to JD Vance as the heir apparent to the MAGA movement. It's kind of what you're describing there. And I think it does seem like even people who didn't know him, if they're voting for Trump, they are on board with him as this pick.
Well, the one thing about him, Mark, is he's going to appeal to struggling Americans and people who think the economy's left them behind. That the elites have done well in this economy, but they have not. And he grew up in that circumstance, so he can speak to that, and that Trump believes could be helpful in the upper Rust Belt states, which could decide the election.
Yeah, we will see what happens. John, when is he expected to take the stage?
You know, it's interesting because these things have started to get longer and longer as the nights go on, so we might not see him. We'll see him at the end of the night. We know that. That's the final act tonight. And then it's Donald Trump's night tomorrow. So we don't know, but we think it'll be, you know, in that final hour for sure, and we just don't know how long it'll go.
All right, we'll be watching. John Hook live from Milwaukee tonight. John, thanks.
And John's coverage from Milwaukee continues tomorrow on Fox 10 when Donald Trump takes the stage, as we were just talking about, to accept his party's nomination for president.